Hi, good morning. This is Joel. I'm here to demonstrate you and show you a small demo about what is Windows Virtual Desktop and its benefits. So let's get started. So this is the overview of this demo. So you will get to know what is Windows Virtual Desktop and its features and prerequisites, and also what are the operating systems supported at the moment, and what are the licenses which you have to purchase, and the workflow and the deployments, and we see how we connect to the virtual desktop environment, and we also see what the pricing, and we end with a small demo. So let's get started. So what is Windows Virtual Desktop? It is a desktop as a service provided by Microsoft Azure. So this we can use this WVD to uh, do desktop virtualization and remote app virtualization. So what are the main features of this virtual desktop environment is you can enable multi-session Windows 10 experience. So what is this multi-session experience? So you will basically work in your home or in an office with a desktop or a laptop or a virtual machine. So that is accessible only by one person. And this multi-session helps you to access the virtual machine. Uh, I mean, like multiple users can access the virtual machine at the same time. So like 10 to 50 or 100 users can log into the machine at the same time without any problems. So there is also another technology which we can use to make the user profiles persistent by using FS Logics, which is acquired by Microsoft. So FS Logics will help you to save the user profiles in the storage account, and whenever you log in, it will load your persistent profile. So in this way, user profiles are secure, and they are persistent. And you can also use Windows 7 virtual desktops with some security updates, and you can also use Windows Server editions, and you can you can deploy virtual desktops and virtual apps, as I told you. Virtual apps in the sense like uh, desktop apps means you will give your user only a desktop. Okay, so but apps in the sense you will give user only the apps which he need, like Notepad or VS Code or something. And you can also use Office 365 in this Windows Virtual Desktop. And coming to how it is helping businesses, like as this is a COVID-19 situation, like you can access the virtual environments from your home, and you can give access to multiple number of employees or users or contractors or anything. You can use this in any field like financial, healthcare, government, educational, offices, and you can run your workloads like any kind of workloads like legacy applications or testing or dev environment, or you can run graphic related workloads or anything. So typically, like what are you do in your laptop or a virtual machine, you can run it in the virtual desktop environment. So this is how it is helping people to run their businesses in this COVID situation. And also you can use this in the normal situations as well to, for reduce the cost and all. And coming to the prerequisites, you should have an Azure account, you should have an Azure subscription, and Active Directory where the user management will happen and all the licenses and custom domain verifications can happen. And domain services is the place where your domain will be there and you deploy your domain. So if you want a free domain, Microsoft will give a non-Microsoft domain. You can use it, or you want your Office domain to be verified, you can do it in the Active Directory uh, in the custom domain section. And you should have a license, like you should either have a Windows E3 or E5 minimum to run Windows Virtual Desktop. And you should also have a Office 365 Pro Plus license to use the enterprise apps. So these are the prerequisites for the to deploy a Windows Virtual Desktop. And supported operating systems are Windows 7 single session, 10 single session, and Enterprise 10 multi-session, and Windows Server 2012, 2016, and 2019. Currently, Linux machines are not supported. I hope they will do it in the future updates. And like the licenses part, if you want to use only Windows Virtual Desktop, you should have an E3, E5, or A3, A5 licenses. If you want to run a Windows Server as Virtual Desktop, you should have CAL's license. And FS Logics, if you want to use FS Logics, then you can get any of these licenses. So there are two types of deployments. One is classic deployment and other is the ARM deployment. So classic deployment, you have to run some PowerShell commands and you have to create a tenant, And then once you create the tenant, you have to create service principals, roles, and all. After that, you go to marketplace and you deploy the host pool. And in the ARM model, this is integrated with the portal, so you can directly deploy Windows Virtual Desktop from the portal, which is very fast and quick. So you have to create a workspace, create a host pool, and the app group. So here we are seeing a new thing called host pool. Host pool is nothing but how you deploy the environment. Okay, uh, so there are two things: personal pool and pooled host pool. Okay, personal pool in the sense individual user will be given individual desktops or a VM. So pooled VM in the sense multiple users will be assigned to a single VM, and they all will access at the same time. So these are the two deployment models available in virtual desktop. Uh, just remember, it is personal. If you want personal, it is a single VM, single person. If it is pooled, multiple users, one VM. So in the ARM model, new deployment model, we have to create a workspace, host pool, and app group is remote group or a desktop group. So this is the types of deployments and types of pools available. So this slide shows you how personal WVD looks. Single user will have single VM and he will use his and he will run his workloads. And this is pooled VM where multiple users will be logging into the same virtual machine and start their work. So in this scenario, we can use FS logics to make the user profiles consistent uh, and persistent. And how we connect to this virtual desktop environment, we can use a web URL. You can use an Android client or iPhone client or Mac client. And also there is a Windows client, MSI installer available. You can install it. So from these are the ways which you can connect, which makes like accessibility very easy. If you have any of this device, you can open it and you can access your environment, virtual desktop environment. And you can also create groups and assign host pools to that groups, finance team, HR team, cloud team, something like that. And as I told you, FS Logics will help us to save the user profiles. So you can use profile container for that, and you can do the app masking and Java redirection where multiple versions of Java can be installed. And coming to pricing, virtual machine price, I mean, you'll be charged for the virtual machine, the storage account, and networking bandwidth. And also for the Active Directory domain services, you can choose the machine as pay as you go or 1 year or 3 year reserved virtual machines. So this is how the cost you will be incurred. If you have any doubts, please refer to pricing calculator where the detailed pricing will be given specifically, like more precisely. And that's it. This is the complete overview and features of Windows Virtual Desktop. So I hope you have learned or came to know about some new things about this. So what you have learned is like what is Windows Virtual Desktop and how can we deploy it, and what are the features of this virtual desktop environment, how you can access it, and what are the types of deployments and what are the types of virtual environments we can give. We can give an app desktop virtualization or an app virtualization. We can give a pooled VM or a personal VM. And we have also seen how we connect to this virtual desktop environment. So I will show you a small demo now, and then let's wrap this up. So coming to Azure portal, this is the Active Directory where your users and groups will be there. So the users can be created here, or it can be synced from your on-premises if you have. So you can assign the roles and licenses and everything here. And Active Directory domain services is the place where your domain will be running, and this is how it looks. And the virtual machine. So uh, to access the virtual desktop environment, the virtual machine should be running. So the virtual machine is nothing new. It is same like normal VM. So I took a 4 core 16 GB and Windows 10 machine. It won't have a public IP because Windows Virtual Desktop is meant to be having a secure environment, so it won't have a public IP. All the in and out traffic and everything goes by a outbound 443. So if you have a firewall which is blocking things, or if you're not able to access virtual environment, then you have to allow .wvd.microsoft URL and with the outbound 443, then things will start working. So you can basically do all the disk management, You can increase and decrease the size. You can do the networking stuff here, allow the ports and deny the ports, and everything you can monitor here. And there is also a RDS monitor for Windows Virtual Desktops separately, so you can do it in the marketplace. Uh, you can use it from the marketplace. So as I told you, classic deployment. This is the documentation for classic, and this is the documentation for the new portal thing. So how the new portal thing looks is like this is how it looks. You have to create first a workspace, then create a host pool. This is where you mention a personal machine or a pooled machine, and then you create the app groups here, whether you want a desktop application group or a remote application group, and then your users will be here. So this is the new way, like it is public in public preview, and you can deploy it from the portal. But if you do from the classic deployment, you have to run some PowerShell commands, create a tenant, and create service principals and roles. And once you do that, you go to marketplace, and in the marketplace, you select the Windows Virtual Desktop environment and you create it here. So I will show you how we select the options. There is a subscription, select it, select the resource group, select the region. So, and here is the you have to give a host pool name, give some appropriate name, and you select whether it is a pooled or personal. So if it is pooled, multiple users will log into the same VM. If it is personal, individual users will have their own desktop. So here, what you can do is like you can give the username here who will be having access to the virtual desktop environment. So you can give multiple users access. But if it is a pooled VM, you can give multiple. If it is personal, just one user. So just click on next, and then you can select the total number of users count here. So based on that, it will deploy the machine, and you can select the VM size here. So if the desired VM size is not available, raise a quota request for the specific VM you want. Support will help you to do that. And then you can deploy all these VM series if you want, like whatever things you want. You can also deploy the E series for high memory thing and all. And then you select your VM size, and then you give a prefix name, and then you can make a golden image and deploy it from the image gallery or managed image gallery, or you can select the existing operating system. So these are the operating systems available. uh, and then you select the disk and all, and you give the username. So here comes the global admin. So global admin is the guy who will have privileges to deploy WVD. So the user should be a global admin, and a tenant creator role must be there for this guy. And then so this guy will behave as a admin, and the other users in the virtual desktop environment doesn't have any access to install softwares or delete softwares. So admin credentials should be provided at that moment of time. This is one of the security feature. And you provide the credentials here, specify the domain, and you will be having a ADDS VNet separately. You have to deploy all the virtual desktop components in this environment. And once you fill all these details, you can review and create, uh, and that is how it works. And then now I have installed this client, Windows Virtual Desktop client. So we will connect, and I will show you how this connectivity works. So install this client. You have to subscribe it by using your credentials, and then once you subscribe it, you will be seeing the machine which is allocated for you. So once you click it, it will ask for your username and password. So you provide your password. So once you provide a password, it gets authenticated with Active Directory, and it will initiate a remote desktop connection. And then once you log in, things will start working, and you can install all these softwares, whatever you want, and you can run your workloads. And you can also push your group policies. Uh, there are some security features which you can enable, like in the GPOs, you can turn off this device redirection and USB drive redirection, and you can also copy clipboard, disable this copy clipboard option. You can use Microsoft Teams where audio and video is redirected. So you can now run any of your workloads which you want, install the softwares and do it. So this is how we log into a Windows Virtual Desktop environment and start working. So once your job is done, just sign out of the environment and unsubscribe it. Yeah. So if your work is done, go and stop the virtual machine to uh, stop incurring the charges. So I hope this video is informative, and I hope you understood like what is Windows Virtual Desktop and how can we deploy and use it and its features. So thank you for giving this opportunity. Thanks once again.